8 Man Strong and Staff Zone. All right, so here's the thing that everybody that's listening, involved in the show, that is, everybody talks about our liners, so we need to get some new liners. So there's 2 media people online with us right now. Both will be covering some events in the very near future. But right now we're going inside the distance. How about that?
I love
What's
it.
up, Jared? What's up, buddy?
Guys? What's up? How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I cashed a $1 ticket. Everything is good from UFC Houston.
That's great. No, that was a good read. That he looked phenomenal. Puna looked awesome, but a $1 ticket, love it. You got to start somewhere.
Well, and then on the plane, as soon as the plane landed Sunday morning, it was a free bet from the online place that I bet. So it was a no-lose situation. And my son's like, well, I put it on Canada. I go, you're an idiot, because A, it's a free bet. So even if I lose, I get the money back. I would never bet on Canada, period. But if I'm getting the money back, it's a no-lose, right? So I went with the winner. Winner, chicken dinner. How did your bets go for last Saturday, UFC Houston?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good card. I mean, it was a slow start, so that was it was nice to see some finishes finally come later in the card. But overall, I did put out a sheet last week, so I went about, I think it was 9 for 14 on my straight picks. Not too good. I mean, that's okay. It's 65%. Typically, when it comes to just straight picks, I like to be about 75% or more. So it was an interesting card. We had a few upsets, but as far as what we did on the show, I thought it went pretty good. We with the 3 appearances we had, I know we threw those fights. I 3 for 3 on those. So I had Carly Giudice, I had JPL, and also Puna Soriano. So that was nice. And then just other things here and there, were unexpected. And that's what like we've said a few times, that's kind of what the fight game is all about. Is there's going to be some underdogs that win, and you're on the wrong side of it.
Before I throw it to Matt, you said that you were 65%, but and we talked about last week about the gambling and why you're gambling, and are you just trying to be, on the plus side? Or obviously we always want to be on the plus side. Wouldn't that still be successful if you're at 65%? If I can go 65% every weekend, I'm going to start betting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking at, to be profitable, you got to just be over 50%. So, but when it comes to picks, when it comes to picking every fight, those aren't all the bets that you take, because you're picking sometimes big favorites. So when you're going down and just picking fighters, it tends to be a higher hit rate. So that's what I was referring to on that. That was just a hit rate, just without odds into play or anything like that. When it came down to betting, I still profited pretty decently. It wasn't a loss, but it wasn't a big win. So I had to pick my spots differently than how I would pick just the straight up bets.
I gamble every time I do this. Go ahead, Matt. What do you got?
Jared, picking fights is kind of common. I mean, people will see, that's common to bet on. But with spring training starting up and the Rays, they're cooking up a new stadium deal. My question is, how do you bet on baseball? You bet like stats, like individual players? Is it teams? Is it win-loss? Is it are there in-game bets? How does it work when it comes to other sports?
Oh man, if you're asking me in particular, I'm a baseball player, so I know it from the playing side, but I've never really gotten into betting baseball too huge. I'm more of an over as an unders kind of guy when it comes to baseball, so I usually like the run lines most often. And then I also like one of the most popular bets is no run first inning, which they call Nerfies, which is a very popular one. So you either pick, there's a run that gets scored the first inning or there's not. Most people go with the no run first inning, and that's a very popular bet. But baseball's tough because you see last year, the Rockies were one of the worst teams in baseball, but out of nowhere, they'd come out with a win. And the best team can always lose in baseball. I guess in that regards, it's similar to fighting, but they just play so often. You don't know what you're going to get. So it's a hard sport to bet on, but I tend to stick with overs and unders with the run lines.
And before I get off here to go get my kids, your stance on Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, betting on baseball, should he be in the Hall of Fame?
I say one. I think Pete belongs in the Hall of Fame.
That's my guy.
Yeah. So I mean, come on. I think they should have let him know that before he passed, unfortunately. And I think he's now able to, right? Aren't they? Didn't they end up making?
Yeah, no, he's now eligible because they changed the wording that he's not eligible as long as he's alive. Basically, is what they're saying.
Well, that's a shame. But
I'm going to stick with this. If I was to start a Major League Baseball team, Pete Rose would absolutely be on that team in more than one position. Okay, I don't care if I'm leaving off. I don't care who. If I took the wrong person at second base and I got to stick him at third or in right or whatever, Pete Rose is going to make my greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
But as a former employee of a Major League Baseball team in the 70s, there was a billboard that was in every clubhouse that was probably 5 miles long by 4.5 miles tall that said, if you're caught gambling, you will be banned for life. He was caught gambling. So now that's what it says, banned for life, I'm okay if you put him in now because he did his ban.
Yeah.
Pete Rose bet on baseball.
And even if he doesn't go into the Baseball Hall of Fame, which nobody cares about, like we'll put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll put him right next to all the rappers and all the other people that don't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because that's an Ohio legend. So
he may be in the WWE or WWF at the time Hall of Fame. I'm not sure.
Put him in
Donald Trump and Mike Tyson and Clubber Lang.
Put him in Copperstown. I'll start a foundation and collect money and raise money for it. Copperstown, baby.
And we continue to hear something different about Pete Rose, and I know we still want to talk about this weekend in Mexico, is that I was always told that Pete Rose did not bet on every single game. And that's where my adamant stance was. I believe, and I do believe this, that he never bet against the Cincinnati Reds. I believe he did bet on the Cincinnati Reds. We were always told that he didn't bet every game, and that's where my issue was. Because now you're basically laying your hand, I'm not betting on this game, and I'm the manager. So what is he telling the bookie or the gambling people he's working with or taking bets from or whatever? Right. Then it came out after his death, allegedly, that he bet every game on the Cincinnati Reds. Now, if that's the case, it changes my strong stance a tad, but it still said, if you're caught gambling, you will be banned for life. He was banned for life. And if that's the case, then he deserves to be in as one of the greatest players of all time. What are the odds on that he gets into the pro baseball?
Don't ask me.
You're our gambler.
You're the inside guy.
Hey, I know, but I have my specialties, and that's going to be a fun one for. I don't know if you've seen the betting markets that are similar to it's a little differently. Like you can bet on anything. You can bet on the weather if it's going to rain today. Like Kalshi, I think, is one of them, and then there's Polymarket. I'm sure it's on there, so somebody will take your money.
Before we look at Mexico, you mentioned the sheet. So is this sheet that you do, is that just for your close friends? Is it for your listening audience / our listening audience? How do people get in on your 65+% winning streaks?
Yeah, well, I put it out on my Twitter last week. So on Friday, because that sheet goes into a lot more depth. It's a prime example is I flipped a pick that I had on here, and I flipped it the wrong way, but I used more information, and I thought I liked the guy better than I did initially. So I wait until Friday to see the weigh-ins, and then I will put that out by mid-Friday, I would say. So it went out on my Twitter last time. It was the first time I posted it. I made it public for everybody. And it's just a sheet that has everything, a breakdown of each individual fight. It has what I think is the most valuable bet on each fight individually. It has what I think is the flyer. So if you really want to go for value, you can just go straight to what they call like a flyer bet. So it's high odds. And then I have a breakdown with a summary. So just my opinion of what I've heard, what I've seen, the way that I'm making my reads on the fights. And then I just let people, I never really want to be that guy that just points people towards a bet and say, just trust me, take it. Maybe as I grow confidence and I do it more, I might feel better about that. But at this point, I want to provide people with all the information that I provide for myself, and then they can make the decision based off that, and they can still see what I'm leaning towards.
Before I flip it over to Matt and then kick him out of the room and the live stream and everything we're doing, are you keeping your Twitter handle to yourself, or are you letting people know what it is?
Oh, I told it the first day I was on here. So it was Jared. It's my first name, Jared, and then it's Knows, so KNOWS, and then KO, which I put for knockout and also for for the radio show and everything. So
Is-
yeah, it's a public account. People can check it out. Didn't get much traction with the first tweet. I'm on my second now, so we'll see. Maybe it'll take off.
Well,
there
let
it is.
me just throw this out, and then Matt, you can, Boris, you got to continue to put that Twitter name out. People
I
are
know.
tuning in and out, and people might have listened last week. They maybe new people this week.
Yeah.
I know you said it last week, and I didn't remember it after you said it. So we got to just keep pushing it out there. Let's drive some traffic to your Twitter, because
Yeah, I
you're the
appreciate
expert
that.
on the show. So that's for sure. What, Matt?
Well, so my question is the K silent like Knockout Radio? Like when it said Jared Knows KO, is the K silent in Knows?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. That's good to know. Because if I'm
Yeah.
spelling it, and Vanna's not around, it's hard to spell all those letters. So
Yeah.
good. All right. Because Knockout Radio, we don't need the K in Knockout Radio. It's useless.
Right.
We could
No,
we could have the same name with just the N.
Yeah. Well, it says both of the K's are in there, but yeah.
Oh my God!
Oh, there's a special K. That's good. All right,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah,
Have a good week.
you're the special K. That's for sure.
Yeah. Always appreciate the questions, Matt.
No, you don't. Don't stop lying. Let me get him out of here. Yeah, he's gone.
Oh,
Thank
goodness.
goodness. So which one did you flip?
The Ramiz Brahima and
The guy who's getting his legal passport papers.
no, that was Euros Medic.
I just
So,
remember him coming.
it was the Puna one. So because I took Puna here on the show, and then when I looked at it, I ended up taking Puna like a prop for Puna, and then I ended up flipping my actual pick to Ramiz, and that was just based on what I was just some information I was reading about and some things, and it was a split decision. So I mean,
Sure.
it still was a very close fight, but Puna took it. I thought Puna looked better, so rightfully so.
I did too, and that $5 means a lot in my bank account. So I think you
Yeah.
call it a unit. So that unit looks a lot.
Well, it could be a percent. A unit is like your
Totally.
like max bet, and then when you do something like a small sprinkle, a $1 can be your unit for sure.
that is my unit. That is a
yeah.
big bet for me.
Hey, that's okay. That's all right. It's fun. It's a good way to get into it a little bit more. But
Well, it's the only way that I want to do it, because I'm not doing it to win money. I'm not doing it to lose money. Don't get me wrong.
right,
I just think it does, and people have said it. You want to watch now. It's more, you're rooting, and if I can root for $1 and lose it, win it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Where were you on the main event? Were you with Strickland or again, or with Hernandez?
so my pick was Hernandez, but on my sheet it outlines all of my best bet. I thought was parlaying Hernandez, so that was a bad read, obviously. When he got into the summary that I put out, though, I said I blame nobody that goes for Sean, because I felt like if Sean's defense held up, his ground game held up, which it did phenomenally, I said this is going to be a completely lopsided fight. So I just, from the betting side, I had to anticipate that maybe Sean would break down, or that Fluffy would just kind of chain grapple and just takedown after takedown until it finally lands one and then holds him down for a round or something. But yeah, my pick was Fluffy Hernandez, but my read definitely had Sean as a very valuable bet.
Well, it was good for Knockout Radio. I don't know if you saw some of the videos, but he threw some mad love, and then he threw me under the bus. So all of the press coverage. So it was pretty funny. He was in, I would say, rare form, but that is, Sean Strickland, and that's how he operates. Let's look at this weekend. I don't know where you want to start. If you want to start at the bottom or get right into former champ, or where are we going? Where are we starting?
Yeah, let's. We're gonna hop around a little bit. So I have some fights that I kind of highlighted. Of course, we'll cover the main event and a couple of the main card. But I don't think we're gonna have time to go through each individual fight, of course. So the first fight I want to really talk about would be the Francis Marshall fight. So this is a guy that I really like in the featherweight division. He's fighting Eric Silva. Silva's a guy that kind of came into the UFC at an older age. He looked pretty good, I would say. At this point, I think with his age, we're not going to see as much improvement from fight to fight as we would with a guy like Francis. So Francis is a well-rounded fighter. He can submit you, he can knock you out. He's very aggressive. He moves forward, very athletic dude. So I really like this fight for him. Unfortunately, which I was going to preface at the beginning, this card is very, very difficult to bet. And the reason for that is the lines are absolutely blown up. We have at least 5 fighters that are minus 700 favorites or higher. And then we have in the 3, 4, 500 range, another 3 fighters. So we're talking about probably more than half this card is considered a heavy favorite. So that's a good opportunity for people that want to bet underdogs, because there's going to be 1 or 2 that hits. You just got to pick the right ones. In this case, I'm leaning towards a fighter that is a heavy favorite that I think has the ability to finish this fight inside the distance. And I like the submission prop on him, and I like the KO prop. So it's just kind of deciding which way I want to sway towards it, or if it's just a Francis Marshall inside the distance, which will probably cut that number in a third. So it'll probably be close to minus 150, minus 200. So
I would think by the way you said that it's lopsided. Most of these fights are lopsided, the betting wise. And yes, the betting wise is only meaning where the money is being put, but this may not be that card that everybody's going to be all excited about. To get all excited. And I typically would say when I'm looking at a card, if I can't pick who I think's going to win, not who's going to win, because I have no idea, but if it's too close, Strickland Hernandez, I went Strickland, but I could have gone the other. So to me, that's a fight I want to watch. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking at just, the betting odds and it's 700, it's 500, to me, that's like, these are not going to be great fights. They're going to be quick fights. They're going to be submissions and KOs. Is that kind of how you can correlate the betting odds to the fights?
So sometimes, yeah. So sometimes we just have somebody that is just a kind of a lay and pray kind of guy who will just take you down and hold you there. And we know
why you hate on GSP?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I almost thought about the name of the show being Lay and Pray, but that sounded a little, I didn't end up going with it, but I don't, normally, yes. So if you want a minus 700 to a minus 1,000 favorite and you want them to look that way, then they should be finishing the fight, right? I mean, that's what the line indicates. It indicates a lopsided matchup. So that's when most people will take the hit on that or go for it. As far as will it happen, a lot of times they do not show and prove to be that number, but then they end up winning. So then you're like, well, I should have just put them in a parlay, but you're stringing 4 or 5 guys together to get to even money. So you need 5 fights to go exactly the way that the market anticipates to win. And that
doesn't make sense.
I would much rather play it from the prop side. So yeah, you're right on that aspect. Is I would 100% rather take a chance on a finishing prop rather than parlaying these guys up into a 5 or 6 legger.
I remember I was at one of the Dana White Contender Series, and a sure thing. This guy, he was a heavy favorite, and everybody said after this fight he's going to get the UFC contract, and he didn't. And Dana said, when you're that big of a favorite, and you go to the final round, and it's a decision, and you can't finish this fight, yeah, we don't have any use for you.
Right.
And he didn't sign him. And he's like, go back and learn how to make some finishes and stuff. So
there's a lot of talent out there. So at this point, you should be. And with the bonus, I keep saying it every week. I mean, they got $25,000 to finish a fight now. It's like, come on, that can double your purse. But I'll keep rolling here because I know we're going to come close here. So the next fight that I really like is Christian Quinones and Chris Montino. Some people might know Chris by the green hair guy that fought Sean Strickland. So he had 2 colorful hairs fighting each other. He ended up being a punching bag. Unfortunately, just the skill level did not match up at all, and Sean O'Malley went straight through him. We kind of seen him come back. He ended up fighting another up-and-coming prospect and absolutely got laid out in the first round. That's Malcolm Wellmaker, who was a looking like a incredible prospect, which I think he still will. He ended up dropping a fight, unfortunately, as a big favorite, but he's going to be something. But now he's fighting Christian Quinones. I like this kid. I think he carries a lot of power. I said that last week with a few fighters, and I really like a guy that has a weapon like that, and definitely against the guy that stands in front of you and kind of puts his hands up. So I see this fight finishing for Christian. I see it as a knockout. I see it as it's another big line. We're talking 700 again for this. So if we can buy that down to even money, your dollar, you get a dollar if you want a dollar kind of thing. So I like him by knockout here, and I think it's going to happen pretty quickly.
Okay, go to the women's bantamweight. Macy Chiasson. I think she lost her last fight, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And with Eileen Perez. It's funny this fight because it's striker versus grappler. You have Eileen Perez, who is kind of that aggressive grappler that takes you down and holds you down and will look for submissions. She's known as the girl that twerks everywhere, so a lot of people. She's gotten quite a fan base from that. But I think that she takes care of business here against Macy Chiasson. I think her cardio is going to hold up. One thing we need to talk about for this fight is that it is at elevation. So we're going to see some of the fighters who are kind of prone to gassing probably happen. It's going to happen even quicker. So we're kind of looking for people who are known to kind of hang in there and be a dog, as they say, and kind of fight through that discomfort of being at elevation. So it's something that I think I see Eileen Perez here really dominating on the ground, and I see Macy kind of getting frustrated and giving up her neck or something. So I really like the Perez side. Okay,
moving on.
So next one that's fun. It's very similar to the Montino fight, but it's Ryan Gondra and Jose Medina. So this is in the middleweight division, I believe. Yeah, I think it is 185.
Yeah, it's middleweight.
So Gondra is a guy who loads up and throws, and Medina is notoriously a dude that's kind of similar to Montino. He's known for his toughness. Some people are just known for their toughness and they just don't go out easy, but they take a lot of punches. So I see Gondra as this guy who's coming in. He's a hot prospect. He's fought some decent competition in the LFA. So he has been proven for a while. So I see him kind of, again, as a big favorite. So I'm looking at inside the distance on Gondra as well.
All right, let's jump to the main card.
Yeah, and two guys as we move up. I just so people know, I do like Santiago Luna and Rodriguez. I think is Imanol Rodriguez. Two guys that
we'll stick with Rodriguez.
Yeah, Imanol Rodriguez. Main card here. So we can let's go to the Edgar Chairez real quick and Felipe Bunez. I really like Chairez as a prospect. He's still young, 31 years old. He's looked absolutely dominant. I see Bunez as a guy who's been there, and he's getting up there in age. So Chairez is known to be I believe he was a high-level submission guy, and now he's striking clean as well. So he can get it done any way he wants. I really like the Chairez side here. I think he's a fun parlay piece as well for a lot of people. I believe he's at like the 300 range, so that's usually a good number for parlays because you're not looking at the 700-800s. But very fun fight. So anyone that tunes into that first fight of the main card, that's going to be a great one.
Okay, now three named fighters that everybody knows and recognizes, starting with formerly known as Bobby Green, now King Green.
Yeah, so King Green, Daniel Zellhuber. I'm leaning on the Zellhuber side on this fight. I think he had a expected performance. It was kind of everybody was wondering what was going on with him in that fight. He kind of got stunned by Michael Johnson. Looked really, not his best performance whatsoever. So I think this is a bounce back spot for Zellhuber. I think King's losing a little bit of it to his step. I think I think we're going to see a younger guy come out on top here. This is a spot I'm looking at inside the distance as well. Zellhuber is known for going to decisions, unfortunately, but I think he needs to put a stamp on this one.
All right, almost out of time. So real quickly, co-main, main, who you got?
Yeah, so I got David Martinez against Chito Vera. I think this is going to be a fun fight. I think we're going to see a lot of people picking both sides of this. I'm going with the prospect on this one. I think Vera tends to start a little too slow. I think Martinez can take advantage of that. So I'm leaning on David Martinez. And then main event, what a fun fight. I know this was a last-minute put-together fight. I think it's really hard to go against Brandon here. So I'm on the Moreno side. I think that this is when you want to look at the cardio, you want to look at the toughness, and you're looking at a guy that's never been in a 5-round fight in the UFC. So I'm leaning heavily on Moreno. I like it by decision, but I will be playing some props, I think, on both sides.
There you have it. Good stuff, Jared. I appreciate your time. I know that you'll be out at the Grand Prix this weekend. You're going to go to Cage Wars next weekend, and a lot of good stuff. One more time, your Twitter, Jared Knows KO. That's
Yep.
where you're going to be able to get that cheat. All right, man. Talk to you
Sure,
soon.
guys. All right.